Hey guys, I'm Jeremy, and here's some more awesome alpine lakes you gotta check out if you're in Colorado. So the first two areas are really easy to get to. So if you're in Denver or going through Colorado, I'd definitely check out at least one of the two first places I mentioned. And then the last one, Shelf Lake's a little tougher. So that one, I wouldn't say you have to do, but definitely the first ones, if you're looking for an easy hike, could be a great trip. So I guess it was a Wednesday, I headed out to St. Mary's Glacier, which is the first hike I did. And I went out there with my sister. She was a little bit on hippie time, so we didn't get out there till about 2 or 3. And as a lot of people in Colorado know, in the mountains there's, it usually rains around that time, so it might be better off to get there early. But luckily these clouds were kind of on the side and went away, luckily. So if you get there, you have to park in the parking lot in that town, which is like the official parking, which is $5. So, that's not much, I think. And there's 2 big parking lots there. Some people do other hikes around that area, and there's other trailheads, but you do have to park there. So just be aware of that. And so the hike from there is only about, 40 minutes or something. It's just over a mile. So it's an easy hike. It's uphill on a bunch of rocks. And you come up to the lake, and super pretty. The glacier itself, I guess back in the day, was much bigger. Obviously the global warming and stuff hasn't really helped that too much. So it's only about an hour away from Denver, and it's a short hike, so obviously it's going to be super popular most of the times of the year. I don't think you could camp up there. I did see a couple people swimming, and I heard that on the other side there it was popular like for cliff jumping and stuff. I'm not sure if you're allowed to do that, but I guess that's what it's kind of known for. And then you come up on the right side and you could hike up the river kind of where the glacier is. I didn't go up further, but I'm sure there's great views up there. And you could also connect to a few other lakes up there, like Lac Le Monde. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but there's about 4 or 5 lakes up there. That must be just like another hour or 2 to get up to there. So if you're looking for a little longer hike, you might be able to connect and see those lakes. And then of course there's a couple peaks you can do up there as well. So yeah, it's definitely something I'd recommend. Easy hike and not far from Denver. If you're looking to find no people, that's probably not going to happen there. But obviously if you keep hiking up further, you'd see less people. So then a couple days after that, on the weekend, I headed up to Silver Dollar Lake and Murry Lake, which is about an hour and a half from Denver. And that's an awesome hike up there. I mean, I think that's so far my favorite. Of course, there's a lot of people up there too, but it's still worth it. I thought even though it was pretty busy, it's still really pretty, and you get really nice views of, there's actually 3 lakes up there. The one at the bottom, Murry Lake, I think is a private lake, so I'm not sure if you can go in there. I don't think so, but you could get views of all the lakes if you keep hiking up to the top, so it's super cool. And it's only about an hour and a half or something to the top. The only thing that could be a little tricky is if you want to park at the very bottom, or actually where the trailhead starts, because at the bottom it would be an extra mile probably, or 20 minutes to get up to the main parking lot, like where the trailhead is. But the problem is there's so many cars and the road's really bumpy. You might not want to go up that if you don't have a 4-wheel drive or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it'd only be 20 extra minutes from the bottom, or 25 minutes probably, and at least you can ensure that you're not going to have any big problems, because we did go up there and it was around maybe like noon or 1 o'clock. So luckily some people were already leaving, but there was only 1 or 2 spots at the top. So you might want to save yourself the trouble and just park down at the bottom. But I would say that's probably one of the prettiest or nicest easy hikes I've done in Colorado so far. So I'd definitely check that one out if you want to do an easy hike not far from Denver. So we headed down the mountain and drove for about an hour to get over towards where we'd camp before we do the Shelf Lake hike. And so that's just kind of down the road a little bit more south, and you kind of come up. And I was expecting to only see a few people camping out there, but it was pretty full. I mean, there must have been maybe 15 or 20 groups out there. Most of the people were off to the left, which was kind of an open area and would get pretty windy. So I wasn't too interested in that anyway. And we kept going along. We didn't think we'd find a spot. And then finally, just before the trailhead, there was like kind of a parking area and then an area with a couple of camping spots left. There was a couple women that were just camping in their truck, so they didn't need the campground that was behind there, so it luckily worked out pretty well. And I tried cooking a burrito and some food that I had, which was actually pre-cooked, so I just needed to reheat it. And I was kind of trying to use this kind of new grill I have, which is a tiny one for backpackers. It doesn't really work that well, so I think next time I'll get a little better setup in the future. But eventually we finished eating, and then we just headed over and joined the two ladies that had a nice fire going. I figured we wouldn't waste all this wood to start two fires only like 100 feet from each other, so they were really cool and let us hang out. And we had a couple drinks, and we had, you know, a nice sunset there and some nice views of the stars and stuff. So I did this trip at the very end of August, and you could already tell it was really getting cold. So you definitely want to make sure you could have a fire or something to keep warm at nighttime, because those temperatures drop fast up there when, you know, you're around 11, 12,000 feet or whatever we were at. So I think we left at about 8 in the morning. And I wasn't expecting it to be too bad, but you know, I obviously knew it was uphill, like it always would be to like Alpine Lake or something. But it was really stiff right from the beginning. You start on the trailhead, you've got a good climb for, you know, 45 minutes or so, and then you kind of get over the rocks and stuff there, and then it kind of mellows out a bit at the middle of that trail. And then at the end, like most lakes, it's pretty steep to get up to the lake. So I think it was, you know, probably about 3.5 hours or so at least, I think, until we got up there, and then a couple hours down. So that's a pretty tough hike, actually, considering that trail's only like 7.1 miles, but it felt like it was a lot tougher, you know. So if you're going to do that, it's, you know, it's a cool route, but, you know, be warned, it's definitely quite an uphill climb. And then we headed down there, and luckily we, you know, avoided any rain. It looked like some clouds were kind of coming in, but we were done by like, you know, noon, so at least we got down before there'd be any rain. Yeah, and that road going into Shelf Lake trailhead is definitely one of the worst roads I've done in a while. So you might be able to take a regular car in for maybe the first mile or so, but you definitely need a high clearance vehicle, you know, a 4x4, a truck or something like that to get down that road, because that was really rough. Yeah, so it was an awesome trip. You know, St. Mary's Glacier and Silver Dollar Lake. Check it out. If you want a bigger challenge, you know, head up to Shelf Lake, and there's, you know, some decent camping around there. Yeah, so I'd recommend it, especially if it's off season and not a weekend or something like that. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more content. My channel has a lot of different stuff from my travels around the world, whether hiking or biking, and some of the things over the years I've done, whether I was in the military, commercial fishing in Alaska, or my experience living in China and Taiwan for 15 years. And I was a teacher there and led tours and did all kinds of stuff. So if that stuff's beneficial for you or entertaining, subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Cheers.
And also, if you guys are ever interested in joining me on a trip, I have one to St. Mary's Glacier and another trip to Silver Dollar Lake. If you would like to join, I have some links below, so check it out. Cheers.